So I've been able to lose and keep off over 120 pounds. And I get a lot of people to ask me, how do you get lean? How do you get ripped? And let's face it, there's a lot of advice and fitness stuff out there on YouTube, but how many people could really say that they actually have lost a significant amount of weight? You know, a lot of people who give fitness advice have been sub 15% body fat or been ripped their entire lives. So as somebody who knows what it's like to be overweight, to have a struggle to lose and keep weight off, I'd like to share with you, I have 5 things, 5 tips, 5 secrets that I've used and continue to use to cut off body fat, to lose weight, and to keep body fat off. And I'm going to share these 5 secrets with you here right now in this video. So my first secret to getting ripped is a super important one, and that's the reason that I put this one first. And the first one that I wrote down here is to not jump right in and dive headfirst into the program. And let me give you an example of this. So what happens a lot of times is people will be eating, you know, maybe a standard American diet. You know, they go out and get lunch, they go out and get a dinner, maybe they have cereal or something for breakfast, you know, they have a coffee here or there, whatever it may be, right? And what happens is they'll find a workout program. The workout program says to work out 6 days a week, do cardio 7 days a week. The workout program says to eat now 6 meals a day, all high protein, moderate carbs, low fat, whatever it may be. And what happens is they switch from what they were normally doing and they switch immediately over to an extreme level of a diet. Even worse than that, you got some people like, okay, now I'm going to do intermittent fasting and cut half of my meals out, and then I'm going to do keto and cut all my carbohydrates out or something like that. And what happens is they make such a drastic change to this program that, number one, you're going to hate it. And you're going to get burnt out on the program. And number 2 is that when you go so far and so extreme on a program, how can you make any changes to it, right? You're literally going to such an extreme that there's nowhere else to go from there. You have no wiggle room and nothing to play with. So I've learned this the hard way because I've tried all these different diets throughout the years. I've done the keto, I've done the cutting the calories, I've done the cardio 7 days a week. I've done all that stuff. And the thing is, you want to find something that you can maintain and continue to do. And my goal for you and my goal for myself, which has been, and I've gotten into really good shape this year, and I've been able to really get my body fat down again, is I want to find something that is maintainable, something that I can continue to do, not something that I dread. You know, I would dread it if I had to work out 7 days a week. I would dread it if I never got to eat carbohydrates and things like that. You don't want to go so extreme. You want to do the bare minimum amount of work and get the maximum amount of results. So the most important point that I'm making this whole video is, like I said, don't jump right in. And what I mean by that is you want to start where you're at and gradually add in changes. This takes a lot of patience, and it's hard to do because sometimes you may be like, all right, I'm so sick of it. I want to lose weight. Just give me the program. Let's dive right in. But you're going to skip so much and you're not going to get a lot out of it. You know, you can get a lot of growth from doing small things, right? So I have my guitar in the background, right? So if you're a beginner guitar player, you may want to pick up the guitar and play Stairway to Heaven or some crazy rock song right off the bat, but you're not ready for that. If you just go in and just practice that, you're going to get frustrated and burnt down. You need to start small and make little progress, and you'll be able to come much further, and rather than trying to tackle a huge beast. So for example, I've had clients and guys that I work with, and I know I film a lot of dating stuff and I've been coaching guys with dating stuff for years, but I have multiple fitness training certifications, and I used to be a certified trainer and work in the gym for years. So fitness is a huge passion of mine and something I know a lot about. You know, I've had guys, and I still coach guys with fitness, I've had guys where I've literally made one change and they've lost 20 pounds. I had a client very recently, two guys I was working with, where I just said, hey, look, let's cut out all your sugar drinks, your drinks that have all this extra sugar, and let's cut those out and just switch those over to water. And I think maybe we talked about just going for a walk, not even weight training, maybe going for a walk here or there, but literally just cutting sugar drinks out of their diet, lost 20 or 30 pounds right off the bat. They didn't need to go right to no carb and all this other stuff. And part of me is like, the old fitness me is like, oh, let's jump into, you know, the cutting diet, you know, and the cutting workout plan and go into all this stuff. But you can get so much juice out of such little things. If you could keep your diet and your daily activity somewhat near where you're comfortable with it, and then start to add more things in and get results from that, then why would you need to go on some extreme diet that you're going to hate anyway? So you want to make small changes and small improvements. And another way to look at this too is some people will come to me and be like, oh, I'm really out of shape and I'm this and I'm that. And I'll be like, man, you may be out of shape, but you're not working out at all and you're eating a really terrible diet. So you're actually in a great place where you can make a lot of change. You have so many changes to make that you can make one at a time and see a lot of progress. Where someone like me who's been dieting for years and already does work out, where there's been points where I've gained a little more body fat and it's been very hard to get off because I've already made so many changes. I'm at a point where I'd have to do more drastic and extreme things to make changes, right? So I've had to kind of reset things and do all that throughout the years. But you want to start where you're at and make very small, gradual changes. Like I said, cutting out sugar could be one of them. And I'll give some other things that you could do next that you can do here. It could be just moving in general. If you're really heavy, it could be just moving, like as far as getting a walk in the morning for a half hour, like a very easy thing to do. You could start just doing that. It could be cutting out a dessert. It could be just cleaning up a few small things that you have in your diet. I even had a pro bodybuilder say this recently in a video where he said the way that he starts his pre-contest diet is he doesn't jump straight into it. He'll just say, okay, every now and then I'll have a dessert or something like that. The first thing I do is cut out like that. I'll cut out the dessert. And then maybe I'll drop the carbohydrates by 50 grams during a day or whatever it may be. He'll make a small gradual change. He may add in a little bit of cardio here or there. You want to make small changes and then see how you progress. If you're progressing on that, then keep on with that. And then once you hit the stalemate, then you want to keep going forward. And I'm going to talk about how to do that more in a second here. So the second secret and the second foundation that I'd say for anyone who's trying to lose body fat and wants to reshape and get into shape is you're going to need to lift weights and you're going to have to make protein a priority. Okay, there's 3 macronutrients that you could eat. You have your carbohydrates, which is your breads, your rices, your potatoes, fruits, sugars. You have your fats, which are oils, which are in meats and things like that, nuts and whatever. And then you're going to have your proteins, which is usually going to be animal flesh. And there's some, beans and other stuff like that if you're a vegetarian. But mostly it's going to be animal meat and animal flesh, chicken, fish, poultry, beef, turkey, seafood, all that type of stuff, okay? So you need to make protein a priority. If you think about this in the simplest way possible, protein is usually the muscle of an animal. And if you want your body composition to be mostly muscle, then you're going to want to eat muscle. I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? That's what you're going to want to eat, and that's what you're going to want to replicate. Protein grows and repairs all the cells in your body, and it will help. Like if you want to build muscle, you need to eat muscle, so it makes sense. And the more muscle you have, the more energy you'll burn during the day, and the more your muscle will use your food and your other stuff for fuel. So you want to make sure and prioritize that you have muscle. And the way we prioritize that is by weightlifting and eating high protein. Now, by high protein, I always think the standard, and I've tried different ways, but throughout the years, I think the standard is 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. Okay, if you want to gain some weight, you're going to have to eat a little bit more. If you want to lose fat and be at a certain weight, then pick whatever that is. Say if you're 250 pounds, but you want to be 180 pounds, then eat 180 grams of protein per day. Okay, that's the simplest way to go about it. Once you have that protein, it'll ensure that you can put on and maintain muscle even while you're dieting, and it'll also help you recover from your workouts. Now, as far as workouts, I'm not huge into doing a ton of cardio work. I do walk, I do some cardio, but for me, I always prioritize weight training because weight training is going to burn calories. Weight training is going to burn up fat. It's going to utilize any sugar that you eat. And weight training is going to, like I said, keep muscle on, which muscle helps metabolize fat and use energy, okay? So you want to prioritize muscle gain. So at least 3 days a week, you want to lift, and you want to lift intensely, okay? For you, I was at the gym yesterday and I was doing curls for my arms, and I was using 15 pounds, right? And there was a guy next to me throwing 40 pounds around. Didn't matter. The way I was doing it, keeping good posture, holding at the top, switching to the other one, the way I was doing it, I felt it in my muscles. So weight is relative. You don't have to use heavy weight comparative to anybody else. It's all relative to you. For me, doing a pull-up, I can't do a ton of pull-ups. Pull-ups will be very heavy and very hard for me, so I'll have to actually warm up with an assisted pull-up machine, where some people, if they're light, they can do 30 pull-ups, no problem. It's not much of a workout for them. You have to find a weight that is going to challenge you for 10 reps or so like that, and then stick with that, focus on it, and put yourself to the point of failure. As long as you're doing that and then giving your muscles some time to recover, then you're weight training properly. Weight training doesn't need to be complicated, it just needs to be done. A lot of weight loss is going to be nutrition, which I'll talk more about it. But make protein a priority in your diet. Okay, start to increase your protein levels. And you have to track it with MyFitnessPal in the beginning and see how many grams of protein you're eating. My favorite protein sources are going to be, right now, they're chicken thighs, eggs. I have some turkey sausage that I eat. I don't, I'll talk about that in a second, but I use protein powders, but I use single ingredient protein powders. So I use beef gelatin and beef collagen, which have one ingredient in them. Because if you look at a lot of these whey protein powders and stuff that you get, you can go on the back and look at the ingredients. You're going to get 30, sometimes 40 ingredients. What is all that crap that they put in there? That stuff is not going to digest well. It's heavily processed, heavily refined. Not going to be good for you. And also protein bars too. If I use a protein bar, it's going to have one with very little ingredients. When you start to get too many ingredients and all this crazy stuff that they put in there and preservatives and colorings and all that, it's going to be very unnatural. Your body's not going to process it very well. So I'd stay away from stuff that's super processed. Stick to more whole, natural, nutrient-dense foods, okay? Salmon I really like. Tuna fish I'll have as well. I mean, I even make my own yogurt and kefir that I get the milk from the farm. So I try to use really quality, high-quality, natural. I mean, oysters and any seafood that you can get, quality, natural, whole food sources of protein are what I like to use now. Now, the third tip for getting ripped is that stress kills. And I didn't realize this till more recently, but when you're stressed out and you have a lot of cortisol, you will hold on to body fat. I've had times where I was eating really healthy, I was working out, but I could not drop body fat. I remember I got into a weight training program earlier this year, and I was like, I really want to get into it. So I made the mistake that I told you guys in the first point. I got up to 5 or 6 days a week. I started doing cardio. I was working out, some type of exercise 7 days a week. And I was pretty hardcore on the diet too, keeping it like super, super clean and strict. And I remember after 2 weeks, I felt very burnt out. I felt like I didn't want to exercise. I was forcing myself to exercise. I felt like I had no energy and I felt a little stressed out. So I actually started feeling a little sick actually too at that point. Almost like I was coming down with a cold. So I said, look, let me relax. Let me take a week off of the gym. So I took a week off of the gym. I ate clean still, but I took off all of my workouts. I cut them all out and just relaxed. And when I measured my waist after the next week, I had actually lost a ½ inch on my waist the next week. And I was like, how did I lose body fat even though I took a week off? And that really opened up my mind to something. I said, wow, maybe I am actually stressing myself out, because believe it or not, working out is stress. And you'll see people that work out twice a day, 7 days a week. You're actually stressing and taxing your body, especially if you're someone who already deals with anxiety or a lot of stress from work and other things in life. Stressing your body too much from exercise could be detrimental to you. So I actually scaled back my workouts after that to 3 days a week and started to see really great results. Now, as I've accustomed to that and I've de-stressed, which some of my favorite de-stressing things are meditation, focusing on sleep. I sleep in a cold, dark room with my cell phone on Do Not Disturb and across the room from me. I make sure that I get to bed and rest. I don't wake up with an alarm. I make sure I get to bed at a decent time, all that type of stuff. Sleeping, recovering, meditating, spending time with friends, spending time in nature, journaling, getting things that are stressful off of my mind, coming up with plans to relieve yourself of stress and stressful things that are bothering you, having lists and getting things done. Doing all that and lowering your stress, when you take all that stress off your plate, now your body can go into fat burning mode. Now your body can go into recovery mode. You need to get all that off. Another thing too I've been doing is a lot of deep breathing. Okay, even when I'm not meditating, deep breath, really long exhale, focusing on exhales. I do those actually after every workout session. It's been really critical for me. I've even been measuring something called HRV, which, maybe I'll film another video on it. You don't need to jump into it, but it pretty much measures how rested and recovered your body is. So I've been actually tracking that every morning. And if my body is really stressed out and not recovered, I skip the gym that day. And I focus on relaxing and repairing and regrowing and taking some time off and de-stressing rather than adding more stress to my body. So stress will really kill your progress, because you can't digest, you can't grow muscle, and you can't burn off body fat and do all these other things your body needs to do if you're stressed out and worried and have too much other things going on and your body is overworked. So you have to find that fine balance of enough good stress to get your body to recover, but also enough recovery and rest so that it can recuperate. my fourth secret to getting ripped and fat loss is that you need to manipulate your carbs and fats. Okay, like I said, there's 3 macronutrients. Protein, no matter what you want to do, gain muscle, lose weight, whatever, you want to keep that about 1 gram per pound of body weight, keep that high, and you want to build and maintain muscle. Okay, that's pretty much inevitable that you want to do. Now, carbohydrates and fats you want to manipulate. I've tried diets with really high fat and super low carbohydrates, and that did work for me at certain times. But more recently, as I was talking to a buddy, and since I have been weight training now, I'm up to 4 days a week of weight training. I'll try to go up to 5 if my body can handle it. But like I said, if I'm too stressed, I'll keep it down to 4 days a week. And I'm doing no like over the top cardio. I mean, just walks, which I do. Maybe once a day I go for like a nice walk near the water. That's more of a relaxing type of thing that I do. But I've actually lowered my fats a little bit, somewhere around 80 to 90 grams for me. I'm over 200 pounds, so I don't like to lower them too low. But carbohydrates I've actually raised up a bit. And I've noticed I get a better pump in the gym. I have more energy in the gym, and I feel pretty good. And I use quality sources of carbs, white basmati rice here and there, mostly sweet potatoes, which I like, which have a lot of vitamin A. I use really quality organic fruits, and I do some oatmeal as well too. Those are usually my main sources of carbs. Like I said, I don't use stuff with a ton of ingredients. I'm not eating super processed bread or stuff like that, or cereal with preservatives and any really refined crappy carbohydrates. I'm using pretty simple natural stuff. Fruits I really like a lot. I think people are like, oh, there's sugar and stuff like that, but fruits are very underrated. They pack a lot of vitamins, a lot of minerals. They're low on the glycemic index. Fruits are really good, and I have fruit every single day. They're meant for humans to eat, and they digest well as well too. So they're definitely something that I am a big advocate for. So I'm actually eating a little bit more carbohydrates, especially on days when I have more of a workout, and then on other days I keep them low. Now, in my meals, I don't have many carbohydrates. Maybe it's like 30 grams, which is a very small cup of oatmeal. It's a half of a sweet potato. It's a 1 piece of fruit. It's a very tiny serving of rice if I have it. So it's not much, but it's just enough to keep me satiated, keep me going, keep my brain sharp. And for me, I found that's worked out really well. And as I've actually been losing more and more body fat this year, I'm actually going to continue to up the carbohydrates. And it's kind of like a reverse psychology thing. It's crazy how it works. But once your body starts working well and your metabolism starts working well and it's using fuel properly, you can actually start to give your body more fuel, and you'll actually burn more fat and start to gain more muscle as well too. So you want to keep an eye on that. I'd say if you're very overweight, like you're over 15% body fat, over 20% body fat, you definitely want to keep carbohydrates low. That's one of the first things you want to start to keep down, somewhere around 100 grams a day or so, if you're really that overweight. So you want to start to lower those. You'd be surprised how many carbs you're eating. You'll have to use something like MyFitnessPal. I have a food scale. Pick up a $15 food scale. You don't have to use it every single day, but you want to track a couple days to kind of get an idea of what you're eating and where you're at. And then you will have to start to take some of that stuff out of your diet. Like I said, if you're already eating really bad, keep everything as you are, up the protein, and actually just start to pull that extra sugar out, right? Sugar drinks, desserts. I remember once I was starting to put on weight, and I said, all I'm going to do now is cut out wheat. So I cut out bread and rolls and tortillas and all that stuff like that. And just cutting out wheat, I started to drop a bunch of body fat. So you may only need to make one change, but eventually you're going to have to really start to hone in and keep track of the carbs and fats that you're eating. That's how you want to change. And my fifth and last secret to weight loss, which has helped me a bunch, is to check in every week. So I like to do every Monday. Now, you don't have to necessarily make changes every week. I'd say every 2 weeks is probably optimal, especially if you've just made a recent change. It may take 2 weeks for your body to actually start to make the actual change. But for me, I have a journal that I keep right on my desktop, a little text document. And every Monday, I measure the widest part of my waist. Because for me, if I look in the mirror and I'm eating high protein, I'm lifting weights, I'm going to maintain or build muscle. I know that. But for me, I really want to get my waist small, right? Because that's where I hold most of my fat. A lot of men, well, pretty much all men, hold most of their fat around their waist, which is, I take a measuring tape, I measure just under my belly button to see where I'm at. So I'll measure and then see where I'm at. If it went up that week, then I'm going to need to cut some food out, right? I'm going to need to work on cutting some of the stress out. But if it's been a low stress week, maybe it's the food I need to cut out, or maybe I can up some of the exercise, right? If I had a week go by and I lost some weight and I lost even 1/10 of an inch even is enough, off of my waist, then I'm going to continue to do the exact same thing the next week going forward. I'm not going to make any changes. Like this week, I lost another 1/10 of an inch off my waist. The week before that, I lost a 1/10 or a quarter off my waist. I'm going to keep it the same. I'm going to continue to do the same thing, and I'm going to keep riding that and see how it goes. And like I said, if you are dieting pretty well, you're working out well, but you've had a stressful week and your waist didn't go down at all, then maybe you don't change your diet or your exercise. Maybe you work on lowering some of your stress. Maybe you meditate a little bit more. Maybe you outsource some of your work, or you take some of the stuff off of your plate for that week. So those are the three things that you can manipulate. The things that stress you out, the amount of exercise that you're doing, and like I said, the things that may stress you out may be too much exercise. You may need to cut that out as well too, and lower your exercise a bit. Like I said, I cut out exercise completely and had lost weight in a week. And then definitely your diet too. I would never really cut your protein down very much. I'd always keep that high, but I would manipulate your carbohydrates and fats. This is what I've been doing. This is what I initially did to start to lose weight. I upped the activity. I switched from crappy carbohydrates to more whole grain carbohydrates, and then eventually started to lower those. And I've gained weight back after I've lost 120 pounds, but I've definitely kept it down and kept it off now. I'm still down well over 100 pounds. I'm down over 120 pounds still since my heaviest point, which I'm really proud of, to get that down and keep that off. And that's been 10 years now that I've been able to keep the weight off and stay off. And look, man, I enjoy working out now. Like I said, I don't force myself to go to the gym. If you feel like you're being forced to go to the gym, you're probably overtraining or you're probably overstressed. I enjoy going to the gym. I like the food that I eat. It's healthy. It's good for you. And like, instead of worrying about, oh, I'm cutting out sugar, I'm cutting out dessert, I'm cutting out pizza and bread and all the stuff that everybody else eats. Do you want to be like everybody else? And a lot of that food is cheap and crappy food that inflames your body and makes you feel like shit. It is terribly processed, and it's cheap for them to make too. Well, there's a reason why a wild-caught salmon is going to cost you $30 a pound, where a loaf of bread is going to cost you $1.50. There's a reason why those things cost you a certain amount of money, because they're cheap, crappy, shitty food and fuel. And you want to fuel your body with quality fuel. And you are what you eat, right? You put quality, solid nutrition into your body, you stay active and move, you're going to look lean, you're going to look athletic, you're going to look like a badass alpha person, you're going to look awesome. And that's really the goal with all this. You're going to be healthy. And that's what I really want for you and everybody else. So if you have any questions about what I covered, or any questions about fitness, nutrition, or anything else, please add them to the comments below. And when you're ready, I'll have another video queued up for you and lots of advice for you here on my channel.